Hi, happy Tuesday. Okay, so as you read in the title, we had quail and manna for dinner last night. So I'm going to explain that. This is a brand new series. So if you're watching this on Facebook, you can go over to YouTube if you miss any of these or if you'd rather catch them on YouTube. I will link everything. Actually, I'm going to make a little note if I say, hey, I'm going to link this, so I actually link it. So I will link my YouTube on here. This is going to be a series. Literally, I'm just going to call it Bible Stories. What I'm doing is I'm using a curriculum. I'm going through all the basic Bible stories with my daughter for the next couple of years, just to get her a good foundation of the Bible, a good foundation of Bible stories, spiritual applications, practical applications. She's really too young to, well, my opinion, she's too young to be going through a lot of like apologetics or, you know, different deeper meanings of the Bible, but she's not too young to be learning the basics of the Bible. So kind of what this is going to be, we are using the Becca. This is technically their Sunday school curriculum, which is Joyful Life. Oh, you know what? Let me flip my camera real quick. Sorry, guys. So things aren't backwards when I'm talking to you. Here we go. I think we're good. All right, I think we're good. So now I look weird because I'm like backwards to myself, but that's okay. So this is from Joyful Life. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk you through how you can teach this without using the curriculum. So you don't need to buy these books. Although if you want to, you can. And I'll kind of go through how we use them, how you can do the lessons without them. So I'll be honest, we used this curriculum at one of the churches that we taught at, and I hated it. Not because it's not good, but because we were expected to teach one lesson a week. Each book comes with about 12 lessons. This one comes with, so each book is about 7 lessons, just kidding. But each section is about 12 lessons. So some of them have more than one teacher book, more than one like series within a series, I guess. So all that to say, I didn't like it. I felt like it was very rushed. We had to skip over parts because there just wasn't enough time to do everything in one lesson. But it is what I chose for homeschooling because it has a very good foundation and I am in control of when I teach what I teach. So what we do is we take each lesson, break it down into a few different mini lessons, and I teach a different lessons like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday is usually when we teach Bible. So just my thoughts on that. So today we are talking about Moses, and this is the part of Moses and his story after the Red Sea, but they haven't quite reached their destination yet. So we're kind of talking about the journey in between. That's what the first lesson covers. So what I did is I broke it down into 3 separate lessons. I have craft ideas. I have ways to make it jump off the page for you, in other words. My whole goal with teaching Bible to my daughter is making it come alive. So I wanted to share on here, and again, if you're watching this on Facebook, if you go to my YouTube channel, I will have a series set up to where you can just click on all the Bible lessons at one time if you want to do that if you're watching this later on. If you want more the play-by-play when it comes to homeschooling, Bible lessons included, either Instagram or Facebook you can follow me on. If you're watching on YouTube, everything will be linked or everything is linked already. My stories is where I put all the play-by-plays of how I homeschool, what we teach, our day-to-day life. Like, we are a ministry family. I run a business from home. Like I have for 5 years. I signed up yesterday. Like I've run a few businesses from home over the last few years. And then we do homeschooling. So that's busy in itself. And then obviously I'm a wife and I'm a mom and like I wear many hats. So the stories in my Facebook and my Instagram kind of just highlight how I balance everything. I teach time management. That's something I really enjoy. So there's just lots of different aspects to it. And then if you're wanting more ideas on like other subjects and how to teach them, Instagram is where you would find it. In my highlights section, I have, first grade science, first grade history. I'll have this one linked here, Bible stories, and you can just kind of see like all the different parts working together. And then my goal is at the end of each unit to hop on here and just kind of share an overview of the lessons that we did over the last couple weeks. So all that to say, One, if you're homeschooling, drop me a 1 down in the comments, because I do like to see who watches my stuff. And if you're not homeschooling, but you're like, man, I just want to teach my kid a little bit more Bible, drop me a 2. And then the last one is maybe you don't have kids, or you're not teaching your kids right now, but you yourself, you're wanting to learn more Bible, because this is perfect for the beginner Bible student as well. Drop me down a 3 in the comments. I kind of like to see who my audience is and who I'm talking to. And that goes if you're watching the live or the replay, either one, guys. Please give me some feedback. I love to see how I can improve and just serve you guys a little bit better. So, lesson 1 is God provides for the Israelites. And now this whole lesson 1, 2, and 3, they are all coming from Exodus 15, 22 to 27. So you're welcome to go study it out yourself. And then Exodus 16, 1 through 36. So everything that I'm teaching my daughter and everything that I'm showing you guys how to teach your kids or learn yourself comes from the Bible. These aren't my opinions. These are just things from the Bible that I'm taking and showing my kid the spiritual application as well as the practical application and how to apply it to her real life. This one, so lesson number 1, remember there's 3 lessons in this one that I'm teaching right now. Lesson number 1, the spiritual application is trusting God for your everyday necessities, as well as kind of just showing how Jesus is the tree, so to speak, and you'll make more sense later, that takes our life from bitter to sweet. And then the practical application is you don't need to complain about everything. How many of y'all have kids that complain all the time about everything? You don't need to complain, because God's going to take care of whatever the situation is, so there's not a need to complain about it. And to take it further, again, if you're teaching this to a child, if you're needing to complain about it, mom and dad probably already know about it. You don't need to complain about things like it's too hot, or I don't really want that for dinner, or mom, I don't want to wear these socks. Like, mom and dad know best. Put the socks on. Doesn't matter if they don't completely match, right? So the overview of this, like I said, this is after Moses and the Israelites already crossed the Red Sea. So God had already delivered them. They're walking through the desert. There's women, there's children, there's livestock, there's obviously men. And yeah, I'm sure it's hot. It probably sucks. They're walking, because this is way back in Bible days. They didn't hop in their car and just like drive down the desert, right? Oh, yes. Sorry, I forgot. So thank you so much for sharing. If you won in the Amazon gift card drawing, click share, comment below that you shared, and I will put you into the drawing. First week of March is when we're announcing the winner for February. So thank you. I appreciate that. So they're walking now in Egypt. Remember, there were a lot of bad things, but they had food, they had shelter, they had clothing, they had water. So they had their basic necessities there. So all of a sudden, the people start complaining, like, Moses, why did you take us out of Egypt? Yes, there were some bad things, but there were also good things. Like, we don't have no food. I don't know why the lighting is so weird right here. Oh, well. Sorry, guys. Lighting's not awesome. But they're complaining because they don't have food. They don't have shelter. Like, why are we out walking in the desert? We should have stayed in Egypt. Right? And we know that the conditions for Egypt were not good. Those of us who know the Bible. Wow, if I put my thing over here, I have better lighting. That's so weird. I'm sitting in front of a picture window in my house, so that's just what it is. So, anyways, lots of complaining. All of a sudden, they come to a spring of water. Again, guys, I'm not a theologian. If I misquote some of this stuff when it comes to the technicalities, like a lake versus a pond or a spring versus an ocean or whatever, they come to some water, okay? A bucket of water. They come to a pile of water or whatever you want to call it. A lot of the people rush up and they dip down and they start drinking, and then they spit it out immediately because it is bitter. It is nasty. And then what do? They complain. You know, there's water here, but we can't even drink it. We're all going to die. I'm sure there's some drama queens in that group. There are drama queens in every group. Moses goes to God and he's praying. He's like, hey, like, you told me to lead these people out. I did. I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know how to provide for them. And literally God was like, I'll provide for them. Like, this ain't your job. Your job is to lead them. My job is to do the provisions. So he tells Moses, hey, there's a tree over there. Cut it down, put it in the water, and it makes the water sweet. So that is literally the first part of this little leg of this lesson. So that's lesson number 1. That's where I stopped at. And then the spiritual application, again, is God provides daily for our needs. Okay, we don't need to worry about it because God does provide. We do what we're supposed to be doing. We follow the person that God has put for us to follow. God provides for our needs. And then the other spiritual application is, again, Jesus, he died on a tree for us. The tree literally was cut down and made into a cross. He is the one who makes our life sweet. So it doesn't matter what happens here on earth. You could have a very bitter life. I hope you don't. And there's always a silver lining, a positive to everything. But your overview, things that have happened to you up until I was probably 20, I would say the overview of my life, just looking at the different things that had happened to me, not that I had caused, were not positive. They were pretty negative. But there was always something positive I could focus on and be grateful. That's another practical application from here, is be grateful. But it doesn't matter how bad your life is here, we have the promise of heaven. So your life may be real bitter up until you die, and then you go to heaven and your life is sweet because of Jesus and the tree that he died on. So what we did for lesson number 1 is we just made a craft. We made crosses. So this is something that's really fun, and it just reinforces the lesson of, again, Jesus is the tree, right? He takes our life from bitter to sweet. I let my daughter, these are just popsicle sticks glued together with hot glue. We put beads on them. We put feathers. This one's mine. This one's Glory's. Hers is a little bit more chaotic, but she's 6 and that's what she liked to do. So it was a very fun, didn't cost me anything because this is all stuff in our craft closet, or in our garage, actually, our craft garage. And it was just fun. So the other practical, again, the practical application is there's no need to complain. Complaining doesn't help anything. So overview of lesson 1, there you go. Lesson 2 was a very short lesson because, like I said, we do use the curriculum. So one thing that comes with the curriculum are these Bible adventure pages, which are just little short stories. So I'll get to that in a minute. But lesson 2, oh, you know what? Back up for 2 seconds. So there are review questions in here. And what I'm going to do, if you're watching this on Facebook, I'll just drop them in the comments. If you're watching it on YouTube, you're going to want to go check out my Instagram because I'm going to take a picture of the review questions, link it into the highlight so you can use them yourself without having to buy the book. The review questions come in here. I'll read them as we go along, but there'll be a picture. You don't have to write them down or something. So we went through the first 3 review questions, which were, why could the Hebrew people not drink the water they found? I think I said Israelites, I meant Hebrews. Sorry, guys. I told you, not a theologian. So why could the Hebrew people not drink the water they found? The answer is it was bitter. When Moses prayed, what did God tell Moses to do? Cut down a certain tree, throw it in the water. What happened when Moses threw the tree in the water? It became sweet. So those are the first 3 review questions. So then when we started lesson 2, which is a few days later, we went over those review questions. I wanted to make sure she retained from lesson 1 and just do a little review on it. And then we started straight into the story, which was the place where the water was called Mara. They stayed there for a couple of days, a little bit, I don't know exactly how long. And then they went to an oasis called Elim, and God let them rest there. Basically, and I told my daughter, an oasis is like, and I don't, again, not technical terms, but my daughter's 6, okay? So if you have a teenager and you're teaching this, you might need to look up a little bit more technical terms. But basically, an oasis is like a giant garden. It has food and water and shade and just like you're on vacation, okay? So he allowed them to rest there for a little bit. And let me see, I wrote something down and now I don't know what it is. Oh, never mind. That's for later. So the spiritual application, still, we reviewed, not complaining. God's going to take care of you. God's going to provide. Be grateful. You know, focus on things, the good things. Don't focus on the bad things. But then the practical application was we need rest. Again, my daughter's 6, guys. So you can take this as an adult to mean other things. What I really hit home with my daughter is when it's time to have quiet time or time to have nap time, that's a good thing because our bodies need rest. When it's time to go to bed, that's a good thing. Like God designed us to need rest. Even when he's talking about the Hebrew people and they're traveling across the desert, like God let them stop and rest. So I just really hit home the importance of resting there. And then of course, not complaining. So lesson 2, again, super short, because I knew that we were also going to do the Bible adventure page, which the first page is just a little talking about the manna and the quail, which we haven't talked about at this point. So I read it, didn't really talk about it that much because I knew we were doing that on our next lesson. And then the inside, you can get any storybook that hits home on not complaining and God just making things happen, like falling into place. Because the whole story was a little girl went to her aunt's house. Her parents had to go out of town for something. She complained. She didn't want to be there. She didn't really know her aunt. Her aunt was kind of old. While she's there, her aunt falls. The little girl is able to help her. And the aunt told the little girl, like, wow, this was God's timing, because had I fallen and you weren't here, I would have been hurt a lot more. And so she realizes, like, God put her there for a reason. And I don't believe in coincidences, guys. I believe everything happens for a reason. Like, God puts everything in your life, good and bad, for good, even if it's not in the moment. So we kind of talked about that. That was the end of lesson 2. Lesson 2 was short. And then on the back of this, she got to draw a picture of something she was grateful for. There's like a little comic. So same thing. You don't have to use this. If you have the curriculum, it's a great way to use it. So now we've done lesson 1. A few days later, we did lesson 2. And then we wrapped it up with lesson 3, which we did yesterday. And lesson 3 was so fun, guys. So lesson 3, again, we open it up with the review questions. We don't have any new ones. So we reviewed the first 3 from the first lesson. Let me write down here and make sure that I do take a picture of those for y'all. So lesson 3 opens up with they're leaving the oasis. They're walking again. What do you think they start doing? They're walking. It's getting hot. They're hungry. They start complaining once again. So at this point, God has already delivered them from the Red Sea. God had delivered them from Egypt. Then he parted the Red Sea and let them walk through. He's already showed them, you know, he not delivered them, but he gave them the water that he turned from bitter to sweet. He let them rest in an oasis. He has provided more miracles than most of us ever see in our life. I'm not saying supernatural miracles, like none of us that I know of have went out and like the ocean has parted for us, but we've all had things that we can look in our life and like, wow, that was 100% God's hand. These people saw that over and over and over, and they're still doubting, and they're still not believing, and they're still complaining. So, we talked a little bit about that, like, wow, how many times do we complain? And I likened this one to mom and dad. How many times, I told my daughter, how many times do you complain about certain things, like you're too hot, or you're hungry again, when there's no need to complain because you know mom and dad are going to feed you. You know dinner's around the corner. You know I'm not going to let you go out into the cold and not be protected from the elements. Like, how many times in your 6 years have I taken care of you and you're complaining again? So we kind of liken that to home life. So the part in the story that we get to is they're setting up camp. They're complaining because they're hungry. And Moses is like, hey, God's going to take care of us. And all of a sudden, that night, a whole bunch of quail fly around the camp. The people are able to kill them, eat them, and they have meat. The next morning, they wake up, and there's little bread things on the ground. The Bible says it's called manna. And they're able to have breakfast that morning. And then, from what the Bible says now, again, if you know this, you're welcome to correct me. Drop it in the comments where in the Bible you found this. I believe the quail was a one-time thing, but the manna was a daily reoccurrence. I don't think the quail was a reoccurrence. So again, the spiritual application, everything happens by design. I don't think it was a coincidence that when the people were starving in the wilderness, that all these quail showed up, just happened to magically already be in the wilderness. Evident, like, in my mind, God purposely did that just in our lives. Like, things aren't coincidences. God does it for us. And then, okay, so the practical applications, just kidding, back up 5 seconds. So the quail and the manna. So with the manna, God gave clear instructions. He said, only take enough that you're going to eat. Don't try to stockpile it. It's not going to stay good. Take enough for you're going to eat and trust that tomorrow I'm going to bring you more. 2, you have to get up early and come get the manna. So, just like every human, I won't even say kids because we do this also. there's going to be a handful of people that want to skirt the rules and do it their own way because they don't like the way the directions were presented, right? They know better. So you have a handful of people who decided, you know, I'm going to get a whole bunch for the next few days. It's not going to spoil because, like, logically, it's not going to spoil. But I don't want to come do this every day. So I'm going to get a lot just in case God doesn't come tomorrow. The next morning they woke up and it was completely spoiled with worms in it. So they still had to go get more. Okay, so you have those handful of people who didn't trust enough to, like, follow God's direction and let him come through again the next day. Then you're going to have a handful of people who that's what it is. So they don't want to get up early in the morning, right? They want to get up later. So they mosey on out of their camps. You know, they're waking up around 10, 11 o'clock. And guess what? It's already gone because God said you had to get it at a certain time. So this, again, practical. I talked to my daughter. I said, this hits home with following directions, number one. When your teachers or mom and dad or someone says, hey, this is the end goal. Here are the directions to get there. You have to follow those directions or your result isn't going to be what you want it to be. So for my daughter, that's something we really work on is following directions. So this was an awesome lesson for us because she'll hear one thing and then the rest of it, she won't listen at all. She'll go do that one thing, come back and say, Mom, I did it, but it didn't work. Well, you didn't do steps 3, 4, and 5. You just did step 1. So that was a good application for us. The second application is not to be lazy. Now this I'm taking a little bit of liberty with because again, one thing we're working on with my daughter is first things first. When you get up, you get your responsibilities done. That's what we do first in our house. You get up, get your responsibilities done, take a shower, and get dressed. That way, you're ready for the day for whatever God brings. Now, in the Bible, God clearly said, get up, take care of the manna, and then, you know. So if you're not getting up until 9, 10, 11 o'clock at our house, again, different houses, different times, but the principle's there, and you're not taking care of first things first, you're not ready for what God has for the rest of the day. So that's kind of what we did. The only other instruction he gave was, except for the Sabbath day, you want to collect 2 times more than what you need because you don't collect on the Sabbath. So I know back in Bible times, Sabbath was Saturday. For us today, it's basically Sunday. So what I told her is, like, back in the Bible, Sabbath was Saturday. So basically on Friday, they got enough food for Friday and for Saturday. And then that just led into a conversation of what's the Sabbath. We explained to her, like, that's not something we necessarily follow anymore today. It's not something we're commanded to follow, although I don't think a day of rest is a bad thing. But anyways, that's a whole nother story, but I'm not going to talk about that. With the way people tend to follow the Sabbath versus what it's actually meant for. So anyways, not going to get on my soapbox with that. But now I lost my train of thought. Oh, y'all ever do that? You lose your train of thought. So she said, well, on Sundays we're supposed to go to church, right? Because we work and we go to church. And I was like, yes, that is a very good point that came out of the conversation, is Sundays are the Lord's Day. So why not give him back one day and go to church when the doors are open, which most churches are twice on Sunday. Like, why can we not give him back that time when he gave us all week? So that's kind of how we liken it to that. And then the review questions for the end of that story were, what food did God send to the Israelites in the evening? Quail. The Israelites found what on the ground in the morning? Manna. And then how much manna were they to gather the day before the Sabbath? Twice as much as they needed. Then what we did that was really fun is I had already decided this because I planned my lessons a few weeks ahead, that when we did lesson 3, we would have manna and quail for dinner. So my daughter thought this was so cool. We got to have a little cooking date last night. And so what I did is we just made chicken breast, called that quail. Now, I had all the stuff ready, so she didn't really know it was chicken, but called it quail. And then for the manna, I just mixed, because the Bible says that manna was bread, tasted like it was sweetened with honey. So y'all that are cooks, you get way more creative. I'm not a cook. Okay, I did half Bisquick and half pancake, mix it up and put it into biscuits. And then we ate it with butter and honey for our dessert with our meal. And then I did add on macaroni as a side and a vegetable because I didn't think my husband was going to want one piece of chicken and basically a pancake biscuit for dinner. So we added on, but we had quail and manna for dinner and just made it come alive. Like most kids, when they hear manna, they don't know what the heck that is. My daughter, when she hears manna, in her mind, it's a sweet biscuit, which isn't too far off from what the Bible says. None of us actually have had manna, so you got to have a little bit of liberty with what it actually tastes like. And then, so that was how we finished it up. We did do so with this curriculum, it does come with the Bible Adventures, which is basically a story, and you can either disregard that or you can find your own story with the same meaning. And then the activity page, and this I'm going to show you because you can do this without buying the book very easily. The front side was just a picture of the Israelites camp, and it was a fun little find the hidden pictures. You wouldn't need to include that if you don't have the curriculum. The back side, and I'm going to take a picture of this and include it in the highlights as well, so you can go get it yourself. It's just fill in the blanks with the review questions, and then they get to draw a picture of their favorite meal. Very easy. You could very easily do this at home with your own kids. So if you're just hopping on or you are catching the live, you're going to want to go back and watch the entire thing. This is just an overview of Moses and the Hebrews after the Red Sea. I divided it up into 3 parts. So you have part 1, which is basically them wandering through the wilderness and coming to their first thing of water. Part 2 is the oasis and rest time. And then part 3 is the quail and the manna. If you don't know the Bible story, that's fine, but that's how they're broken up. And then we have a craft that we put along with this. We have a couple little activities, and then we have a special meal that I included as well. So if you use any of this, I'd love to get feedback. How'd your kids like it? How did you like it? Like maybe you didn't know this story and it brought something to your mind. If you do the meal, I'd love to see what your kids thought of it because mine thought it was awesome. And I hope you have an awesome rest of your Tuesday. Bye, guys.